Thanks, David. Hi, my name is Mike Wagner. I'm a professor of management at the Lindner College of Business, University of Cincinnati. And we have the
He's always with us actually, and this is not the first time, so Mr. Wagner is with us always.
yes, this is my fourth time here. I really love coming here. So if you wouldn't mind. I have this. So originally this morning for this keynote on your schedule, it says something about HR strategy, but what I'm going to be presenting that in a later session. So it's only fitting then that what I'm actually going to be talking about is uncertainty, right? So and leading through uncertainty. So I'm going to pull that up here. Slideshow format. So a few weeks ago, I was talking about uncertainty with the HR department of a bank where I used to work. And I remember when I worked there, I was in the HR department. And in our HR department, we would often have to hire up according to what the rest of the company was doing. So for example, if we expected that the economy was going to get hot, there would be more of a need for energy. If there was more of a need for energy, there would be more of a need for energy bankers. If there's more of a need for energy bankers, then there's more of a need for HR support for those energy bankers. That's an example of how things used to work. There was also a time when there was a growth of casinos. I don't know, laws changed and you could build casinos anywhere. So all of a sudden we needed bankers who were experts in gaming and entertainment. And so we could predict that. And I left that bank a few years ago to go into academia. And like I said, I came back to speak to them just a few weeks ago. And they said, we can't work like that. We can't predict what's going to happen the way that we used to. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is leading through uncertainty. When we talk about what uncertainty is, it's different from crisis. Crisis is immediate. It's almost always bad, right? So COVID-19 was a crisis. It was relatively unprecedented in much of the world. The financial crisis of 2008, 2009 was severe, but it was not unprecedented. We've had bad recessions. Uncertainty is a little bit different. Uncertainty is where we don't know what's going to happen. It's not always bad. There may even be some good outcomes from uncertainty, but it can cause us to freeze up as well. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you some research-backed ways of engaging employees through times of uncertainty. And also, I would like for this to be interactive. So I'm going to be asking you about some of the ways that you're dealing with uncertainty where you work. So a few of the recommendations that we'll talk about. One is we're going to look at some research by an academic from Australia who has focused a lot on uncertainty, not so much crisis. There's a lot of research out there on crisis, how we react to crisis, not so much on uncertainty. But Prashant Bordia of the University of Queensland has really focused a lot on uncertainty, and we're going to take a look at one of his studies. And so these are some of the recommendations. What can we do to encourage more communication and participation? Learn to accept discomfort and ambiguity, much like the way the bank I was just telling you about, was learning to accept discomfort and ambiguity, and something which is called modular approaches. So I'll just save that for a little bit later. So what I'd like to do is start off with a question. Anytime you see one of these boxes with this annoying yellow border around it, that means it's not a rhetorical question. I really do want you to answer. So tell me about some uncertainty that you all are experiencing. And how is it showing up at work? Yeah, Rich.
Okay, in the UK university sector, are we going to get student numbers? And can we afford the rest of the next 5 years? What's going to happen?
Okay. Are we going to get students that we hope to get, that we've been getting, right? And how are we going to progress for the next 5 years? Good. What other kinds of uncertainty? Yes.
Thank you, Prof. Some uncertainties we face is will the institution be able to support academics pay, and will the institution continue running its day-to-day expenses and annual budgets?
Okay. So budgeting issues, day-to-day compensation. Yes. We have one over here. Yes.
I think one of the biggest things where we are is the Trump tariffs on our economy.
Trump tariffs.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, we'll be getting to be.
3 o'clock this afternoon, then we'll have a whole new set of conditions problem. Thank you. Yes.
Are we not going to be replaced by AI? It's a huge uncertainty. We are not sure whether we are going to be relevant.
AI, it's going to change everyone's jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Economic uncertainty,
Economic what?
economic uncertainty,
Okay, you can tell.
high inflation, a recession knocking the door.
High inflation, we had one right here, yes.
Yeah, so like what you said, if you are really taking jobs or it's really taking new opportunity, it's also uncertainty, right?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing some of the discussion. I'm sure we're gonna have some presentations today on AI. We have a couple over here, go for it.
In terms of work, AI is taking up a lot of jobs. So uncertainty for jobs, like the jobs aren't secure.
Exactly, good.
Yeah, the polarized opinion about the technology adoption in the academic field.
Okay. I thought we were gonna have trouble. I guess I didn't need to give you the warning about the yellow border. Like, yeah. Who had one up here? Yes.
Yeah, it makes students lazy. It diminish their ability to be innovative.
What does that? What diminishes it?
AI.
AI. Does AI diminish the ability to be innovative? Very good. Wow. We've got a lot of uncertainty in a lot of areas. Some of it's technological, some of it's political, some of it's economic, a lot of it is connected. So let's take a look at this. So I mentioned a moment ago, Prashant Bhoria of the University of Queensland has been focused on this topic of uncertainty for many years. And I'll just share with you results from one of his studies on uncertainty. This was a study that was focused on organizational change, a time of organizational change in a large public sector organization. And one model that Bhoria has identified is that when it comes to uncertainty, there are often 3 levels. There's a strategic level, which is, where are we all going? Where is my organization? What is my organization's stance on this change? We look at it at this high level. What's the rationale? The next one is structural. Who am I going to report to? Who's going to be my boss? And the third one is job related. Am I going to have a job at all? So I've heard a lot of that already this morning. And in this study, what Bhoria and his colleagues looked at was, during this time of change in this organization, what was the relationship between perceptions of these kinds of uncertainty on the one hand, and And psychological strain. So the psychologists say we've got stressors and we've got strain. So stressors is the person chewing ice next to you at work all day. Strain is the feeling that you get from it, right? So in this case, the stressor was the change. The strain is the way that people react to it. So losing sleep. For me, it's eating more ice cream, and things like that. So negative reactions to the change. And in this study, what Bordia found was, first of all three of those types of uncertainty were correlated with each other. That's probably not too surprising. So when you have greater structural uncertainty, you tend to have more other kinds of uncertainty. But what he also found was that when you have more of this,
On the full.
the way you frame things.
Yeah.
Very good, thank you. We had one over here, yes.
Yes. So, then for the leadership reorientation, to engage the workforce in more involving manner, to engage and have a listening organization strategy. I think that's important.
Listening organization strategy. David,
Yeah, just following on from that, I think, certainly like my experience, good honest communication. It's always been a good platform for me. Early information, get it out there for people that are comfortable with, whether it's still or down. And that way you sort of empower them to be thinking about it and perhaps engage back with no solutions.
So don't sugarcoat things, be upfront, yeah.
And those decisions probably where we create a sense of inclusion and belongingness that reduces, the psychological fear for change.
Okay, so reduces fear, very good, thank you. Let's keep it going. Well, my cooling power here. So, there we go. So we might feel tempted to freeze up. Okay. I was reading about a leader who much to the comment that was just made about language, said, in the past, when we dealt with uncertainty, we used to speak with a fearful, gambling metaphor language. We used to say things like, I would have bet on that, or I'm not willing to gamble that. And what this leader did to be more positive was to change that language to be more scientific. Say, my hypothesis is this, or if we can control these variables, right, then I think we'll get outcome Y. Notice how that language just accepts that there's uncertainty, but approaches it with just a more confident and a more scientific way that just instills a little more confidence. So let's accept that our ability to predict the future is not as great as it was. It's a little bit humbling to be there. But that's another recommendation. I'm going to just switch to our last slide because I'm just being mindful of time. Last suggestion was something called modular approaches. And I'm not aware of whether this has been used in higher education or not, but I'll give you an example. This was something that IKEA did over the past 10 years or so. And IKEA has had a presence in Russia for many years. And in 2014, when war broke out for the first time with Russia and Ukraine, When that happened, what IKEA did was they decided to localize all their production for IKEA within Russia. So in their other countries, what they were doing is they were importing the materials from other countries to then manufacture them and sell them in IKEA. Not with Russia. What they said is we're going to localize everything. We're going to source the materials in Russia, we're going to produce them in Russia, and we're going to sell them in Russia. And what they were thinking was, if things get worse, that will allow us to pull out of Russia more quickly. And that's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. And in 2022, IKEA was able to get out of Russia a lot more easily than a lot of other countries did. So this is my last question for you. This is what I'm calling a modular approach to uncertainty. It's not saying we're going to hold off. It's making progress in ways that are real, but would allow us to minimize our losses down the road if uncertainty came through. So this is how IKEA did it with their operations. I'm just curious. What about higher education? What about where you work? Is there a way to apply this sort of approach? I know where I've worked, I've heard things like, well, we'll address problem A once we address problems C, D, and E. But we never address problem C, D, and E, so we never address problem A. If we had just addressed problem A, we could have at least gotten problem A taken care of. When you think about this modular approach, is there a way we can make progress on things in the face of uncertainty without betting so much that down the road, if uncertainty becomes crisis, we won't be able to.
Yeah, I think IKEA stands up as an example how they strategically change their profile, whereby they actually consolidate within their products and to putting about themselves. Now, applying that principle to education, why can't we do the same? But what we need to do in this country is to put education on a much higher platform. Because I think over the years, certainly in my case, where I was trying to find a money for me at my age to do a PhD, it was impossible. What came into play was really, so I had to go to France, and I was working with open eyes. So I think we've got to change the whole value of what education represents in this country, put it on the platform, and then we'll make it attractive to the youngsters coming forward who want to then go further and sort of departmentalise their progress. So that's what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe the shape and size, and I think, well, I'm from South Africa, the relevance to the world of who we are graduating in terms of content. So that whole rethink about, is the content that we're giving graduates really of value for the new world of work or the world of uncertainty, as opposed to just being the traditional same old structure kind of thing. And then I think, which is not legal in our country yet, but the whole concept of stackable qualifications. So I can build a degree. I don't have to. So there's a lot of bureaucracy and things that I think if they got out the way, with a sort of modular approach would help.
So a lot of rules that impede this right now in higher education.
Yeah.
I think the curriculum, the significant changes in curriculum, like the a parallel theory, capitalism, the parallel theory, the socialism and the Marxism. Like this, the more educational system must be based on a parallel theories. Because all uncertainties are so my humble view is due to of the capitalism, because this system has been collapsed, has nothing to do for the rest of the world. Capitalism is no more for the welfare of the whole of the world's people. Only the because the people who the working class is miserably going down to down, and the capitalists are getting more than that. So the curriculum which are being adopted in our educational institutes, it must be some significant changes which can lead to eliminate this uncertainty.
Thank you. And we've got time for a couple more here, yeah.
Yeah, hi, listening to David's example, if we've got a problem in an uncertain, then you need a branch plan or a plan B, which you're using. Yeah. So that's a very good thing. And also thinking about David's example of having faced opposition in the register for a PhD here, so he goes France. In my career, academic, I decided that the best option for getting people doctorates was to do a PhD by publication, because then you got your publications in the research excellence framework, and you got the doctorate as well. So it was kind of win-win option. So that's my solution. Yeah, particularly with one excellent lecturer that I had who was dyslexic. So not do a PhD in conventional life. Yeah. So he got all stuff published and then he got a doctorate. So just to think round it and have a plan B, and probably a plan C, and probably a plan D.
There's your those are your modules.
Yes.
Time two more. The two of you had raised your hand before, so I love hearing this stuff. This is great.
So I think for an institution, a key thing to be able to navigate and lead through uncertainty is the staff.
Staff.
The staff. So I think by looking after the well-being of the staff and the resilience of the staff, they will be able as an institution to navigate through and accept and work through the change that comes that possible. Also, we could come to this.
Yeah, we couldn't do what we do without our supporting staff. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, I was going to say about the online and AI. We get online and AI in education, and the exam. The examples when the photos happen, not all the five to online. Do I need to be in a certain place, or can I study anywhere? And that is what actually do and future. So if you're looking at the investors, so the companies was living and they are e-commercial, they survived and actually growing during COVID time, and even like you look at Amazon, they used to take 32 million per hour. That's because they have the base already, they looked at the future and they were ready to go online. They are online already. I mean, they have the capacity, to trade online, So similar in education, if that we are ready to have a plan B, we are online. We have the IP data used in well, that is nothing stop us, you know?
Yeah.
That's what this might.
That's another bar. Great, I think we're right about out of time, yeah, but we only have, because we wanna leave time for a break, so thank you everyone for your ideas, I feel like we should all get together and write an academic paper on this.